Good afternoon, friends. Welcome to Petty Talks TV. I am so excited and happy to be here with you again this afternoon. Thank you to all of you who are back today. And if it's your first time here today, we promise that we will try to keep this exciting for you. So we are Petty Talks TV and we are live on Facebook and YouTube on every first and third Saturday of the month at 5 o'clock p.m. So please follow us on our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So we have a lot in store for you. We have special guests today, and I hope that you will just really put your comments on the comment section. And if you want us to invite you, and if you want to share about your pets, if there are topics you want us to discuss, please don't hesitate to do so. So my name is Tita Mee, shortcut for Tita Meow, because I love cats. Yes. Okay, so what do we have in store for us today? Yes, we have invited special friends, and our topic will include from rescue to adoption. Because sometimes, like, have you ever experienced that you go out to the grocery and then you go out to the parking lot and there's this cute little kitten that's just meowing and you want to pick it up and then you bring it home and you take care of it and then eventually you don't know what to do with it anymore because it keeps your kittens end up to become parents and it becomes a problem. So we have guests who will teach us how to maneuver, how to make your pets have a better life. So stick around for that. So before we deep dive into our topic for today, I'd like to introduce to you our anchor resource person. And you've met him if you've been attending our Petty Talks TV shows in the past. He's no other than Coach O. And Coach O is actually a certified dog trainer of the IPDTA in Canada. Imagine. He's a member of the Wolf Park North American Wildlife Park Foundation, which is based in Indiana, USA. He has also authored three books, Mag-aso ay bibiro, Nananaginip ba ang aso, and Dog Life Balance. He is the master trainer and coach of several organizations here in the Philippines, such as the UP Diliman Canine Search and Rescue Group and the Emotional Support Animals Group. He is also Quezon City's consultant for canine behavior and training. This I'd like to share with you. He is a Guinness World Book record holder for having the most number of dogs in a photo shoot. Oh, yeah, that was before the pandemic. And last but not least, he is married to a charming friend of mine, none other than Arlene. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Coach O. Coach O. Hi, Coach O.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, we had a little delay, no? Let's let the audience know because maybe they were waiting.
Yeah.
I lost my internet connection. Nako, it actually, Coach, kagabi pa yan eh. It's been
Mhm.
going on and off. I lost it. I was working last night and I
Kinabahan
lost
ako
my
nung
internet.
kinabahan
Yeah,
ako sabi mo na wala internet mo, hindi ko alam kung paano
yeah,
kita
I
ma-reach.
texted you, no? Yeah, so bumalik.
Yeah,
Of course, I had
yeah,
to respond.
and
Yeah.
I'm excited today kasi ang topic natin is on cats. Okay, so
Yes.
it's not my department, so maganda to kasi ako yung makikinig and maybe I'll be asking some questions
You'll
or
be, yes, yes,
yes,
I
yes.
know. So, Coach, before we call our special guest, we have a visitor. Yeah, sabi mo, we'll be talking about cats, but you're not alone because we have a guest here, actually. No, actually, you just want to greet, no? There are people maybe that know him, that follow him on Facebook, none other than the cute little Nimbus Cloud dog. Yan. He has so many followers, Coach. Grabe, masikat pa siya sa atin. He actually comes out in commercials and we will
How
guest him one of these days. Yeah, he's a commercial model, o, di ba? And yan, we have him on because it was his birthday a few days ago. Yan. So cute naman talaga, di ba? Of course, yan. So, okay, so let's now call on, I don't want to say old friend, but a close friend who was with us on the first session we had, the Pioneer show we had. None other than my friend, she who is a businesswoman, she's a teacher and mom, and an animal welfare advocate from 2011. She, di ba? And we have
Yeah,
rescued more
2009.
than 2009 ba? Okay, I have
Yeah.
to edit my
It's
audio.
okay.
Yeah. So 100 rescues, that's a lot, no? That have been
No,
mostly adopted. Are they all cats or dogs? Mixed, no?
yeah, mostly cats because I
Yeah.
can house them inside my house.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much
Okay.
dogs.
Yeah, you really have passion to do that. And we really enjoyed the session we had with you. Ang dami kong natutunan. And I'm sure, Coach, ikaw, what can you say? What can you say to Chi?
Hi,
Uh,
coach.
and a nice haircut.
Nice haircut. Thank you.
Yeah, we're so happy to have Chi. She invited so many friends, yeah, to watch us. And, to our subscribers, we're growing our subscribers, and we're so happy to have you. We really value each of you. If there's something you want us to talk about, diba, Coach, let us know. You really address your problems or your desires. If you want to brag about your pets, let us know. Yeah, di ba? Kasi this is their place. There's no other show. I don't know. Seriously, I don't know of any other show that will do nothing but talk about pets. Parang tayo lang eh, di ba? I'm not sure. Yeah, kasi there are many dog shows, di ba, Coach? Many dog shows. But it's really the dogs na meron silang contest. They do tricks, they do things. But this is a show where we talk about people talk about pets and among other things. So let's dive into our topic for today because she has a lot of information for us. Yes, I'd like to introduce to our audience good friend Jeannie, who started the Facebook page. Eto, I will show it to you. Kittens for Adoption. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jeannie. Okay,
Hello,
Jeannie.
Hi,
Hi,
how are
Jeannie.
Jeannie.
you?
Yes. Jeannie, it's so nice to have you. It's the first time that you're joining us, and I know we have chatted a few times online on Viber. And tell us a little more about yourself as a person before you, why don't we do this? Maybe yeah, I'd like to ask first, before we start into the information you're gonna share with us, Jeannie, can you just tell us a short story of what made you want to do what you do now? And what
Oh,
are you
okay.
doing now, actually,
Right.
for the sake of the others? Yeah. Aside
Sure.
from the good,
Sure.
aside from being
Absolutely.
busy. Yes.
Yeah. I started, well, it all started very innocently, like every single cat person's story, right? You just feed a few
Yeah.
cats, relate to them, you want to help the cats, and then they started multiplying, and then you started thinking, what am I doing? And then you realize I can't abandon them. I gotta find homes for them. Then the first home you put them in is your own home. Then you realize
Mm-hmm.
that gets a little unmanageable. Then that's how I got to starting a Facebook page, and a lot of personal struggles, a lot of revelations, um, a lot of learning about our role in the environment and how we can make our place, our world, a more hospitable place, and
Mm-hmm.
trying to moderate how we project our human expectations on what our lives are and how they should be, how the animals play a part in it. So definitely that's how I got started, and really it was out of desperation. I knew those I needed to move those cats to save more, so I started that Facebook page, and met very, very interesting people, like all walks of life, and a lot of people who had a lot of love. Surprisingly, first time adopters,
Mm-hmm.
which I always, um, I really admire their courage to adopt a cat, and then after that, kind of open their home to more cats. And I always caution them. I said, "Be careful. Don't kick this overboard. You got to take care of
Yeah.
yourselves." So
So
that's how
it's
it
a
all
good
started.
thing that you have something prepared for us, for the audience to know the procedure, right? The process of how they can move from rescue to adoption. So take the floor, Jeannie, and we will all be just your uh, audience, and we will enjoy
Right.
this time. Okay, go ahead, Jeannie.
Okay. So let's go to the first slide. A lot of times, so thanks a lot. I really love this opportunity to talk about, cat rescue, and it is a very passionate topic for a lot of people. Either you love cats to the point you want to rescue every single cat you find, or there are times you just detest them. So let's go take down the path of constantly wanting to rescue cats on the street. A lot of times what we have to really think about really is when we see a cat on the street, we have to ask ourselves, is this cat do they need rescuing? That's one of the things we do have to consider. And what I find is very important is, after you rescue the cat, after you evaluate the situation and say, hey, the cat needs rescuing, you have to ask yourself, what's going to happen after you rescue the cat? Are you be able to provide a place for the cat? What are your plans? And the interesting part is, when I have taken the first few times I've rescued a cat, I've taken them to the vet because they look ill. The vet's question to me has always been, what are your plans? And at first I kind of dismissed it, but I realized that that was a loaded questions. How do I plan to be involved? What kind of resources can I give them? Food, shelter, vet, that all costs money and effort and time. And then finally, there's a final question: is that cat really suitable for an indoor life? Is that is safety and safety of the cat, is that really contingent upon having a human owner, or some cats just meant to roam the streets because they're really not ready? So those are the things that when you think about cat rescue, you really have to think strongly about it before you take action, because you're impacting the life of a living of a living thing. So that's kind of before we jump into that whole cat rescue mission, we do have to think about it and what follows after. So in my next slide, I'll talk a bit about how the whole process starts. Usually, people who get involved with cats, taking care of them, they're usually what I call a cat colony caretaker. People who are really passionate about, feeding the cats. It just starts innocently. I'm going to feed one cat, and the cat brings their friends. Next thing you know, you're spawning cats every corner of the street, and you just want to feed all of them because you fed one. So a lot of these people who start off that way, which is kind of how I started off, was how me and my friends started off, was by feeding cats, taking care of them. And that as you feed them and you take care of them, you realize they have a certain type of schedule. They know your schedule better than you know yours. They sit there, they wait for you, and you develop that relationship that's based on food. They trust that you will show up to provide food. And that's how it all starts. As you do that, you realize that they actually start becoming healthier because of the food, and then they start procreating. And that's when we consider something what we call the trap, neuter, and release program. Um, you want to feed cats to make sure that they do not suffer starvation or what have you, but you also must make sure that they do not multiply, because cats can multiply like crazy. Their gestation period is only 2 months, and one litter can be like 7 kittens at a go. Not all the time, but it's possible. So a lot of the cat colony caretaking, that's the first step. Sometimes you just neuter them and you move on. There's no home placement to be done. But you need to understand that for that to be successful, it's better to do it as a network of people working together to rotate, have a regular feeding schedule, and remember that in order to support this community of cats, or the colony of cats, you do need a neutering program, because otherwise they will multiply, and they will become a pretty big headache for yourself, not only for the people where the cat colony is at, but especially for the caretakers. Once you go through, once usually what I like to encourage people to do before they rescue is to work with the caretaker of that colony. The caretaker there knows who are the sick cats, who are the cats that are gentler and ready for fostering, which are the cats that actually have kittens that can be taken out of the colony and then posted for adoption. And I believe they're actually the best people to consider working with. And once you identify the cats to foster, the next thing, it's a big step. It's fostering them. What does fostering take? Anyone can foster, to be honest. But the goal of fostering is to not put them in a shelter, because being in a shelter actually makes them. It's shelters are congested. right? They get sick easily. They don't have the space. The shelters do not have the manpower to take care of all these cats. So by fostering one, two cats or three cats at a go, what you're doing is you're relieving the pet shelters of cats, and you're actually giving these cats a chance to be healthy, right? Um, you need to be able to vet the cat. You need to be able to provide food and litter. You need to be committed to providing vaccination and neutering. What does that mean? That means there's a financial implication. You got to be ready to, pool your finances. You have to borrow supplies from people. You need to give in the manpower. So that's what fostering takes. But it's actually very, very, very rewarding, to be honest. Then after a period of fostering is done, you're ready for adoption. There's a lot of people who what they do foster fail. They fail to get the cat adopted because they get too attached. But the ultimate goal is for adoption, because by having the cat or kitten adopted, you are creating space for another foster. So sometimes I tell myself as I'm fostering, I say, I'm doing this so I can share this cat with other people who are ready and willing to open their doors and homes to a cat, right? So in the adoption part, that's the tricky part, is that you have to screen your adopters. You have to pretty much make them fill out questionnaires. You have to be ready to provide a vaccinated cat, a neutered cat, provide cage and transportation. So that again takes time for you to hunt down these eligible adopters, um, screen them, make sure that you have the medical records, etc., so that the adoption is successful. You want to give them a healthy cat. You want to give them a cat that will succeed in their environment. So it's a mixed bag. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, right? And you have to be ready for that to not work out, right? Finally, the last step is actually after the adoption. So your job's not done after the adoption, right? You have to, a lot of times, some of the first time adopters do need support. They don't know how often they have to go to a vet. They don't know that the cat's feeling ill. They don't know where to go. They don't know what kind of food to buy. So you have to provide that kind of support so that they actually have a better chance of succeeding in the adoption. So this is time. So what happens, the biggest challenge for people who rescue cats or even cat colony caretakers is that they take on all four stages. And it is exhausting, backbreaking work. You pretty much can't have a life. So what I think is the ideal setup is to work with a network of people. Some people, just love fostering. Some people, they have the time to hunt down good adopters. Some people, and then they can handle the post-adoption, right? The fostering process, some people just focus on fostering because that takes up a lot of time and resources. Some people, you just need them taking care of cat colonies, right? So in my mind, I think the probably the most successful route is to have a loose network of people specializing these things, because having one person do all is actually very, very, it really sucks in your time. And you have to be reasonable as you as a person. If you get sick, if you are unable to provide time, every stage of it gets affected. So that's kind of one of the things I think is very important for people who consider cat rescue. Which part of this process would you like to be? And if you're part of the entire process, you have to be realistic. What can you give? Because it's backbreaking work. Um, so that's just the general process. And I'm sure I may have missed some steps, but this is, I think you should, bare minimum, this is what you should expect. At this point, I'd kind of like to share a few of my success stories. I wanted to share a success story of Francis, one of the cats that I rescued and was able to find a home for. And the challenge with Francis was she was being adopted into a family that had a child. And when I interview the adopters, I usually ask them, I said, is your family supportive of this cat adoption? Do you have children in the house? Because the moment the cat or the dog or any pet scratches the child, the pet's on the way out because the child's a priority. So they did warn me they had a cat. They used to have they used to have a cat that scratched their child, and they had to give away that cat to a relative. And I said, is Francis that biggest risk for me? Was Francis going to be able to behave? And my goodness, Francis was so well behaved, no matter how much the cat, no matter how much, now it's a kid that's like kind of like handling the cat a little roughly, but Francis never scratches back. So that's like a great story to share. Now, if it didn't work out for Francis, and this is something I tell all my adopters, I say, I don't care if it doesn't work out for you. I'd love to take him back and find him a better home that's suitable. So you just got to be ready for that sometimes. Okay, I'm ready for my next success story. That's Papa. So Papa is a mommy cat who gave birth to a bunch of cats, like about 6 kittens. And once after I was hosting, I was out after I was fostering her and her kittens, I decided Papa really needed a home. She was very tame. You could tell that she was really used to humans. So I actually had her spayed. So she was like I felt like she was like a big baby producer. I had her spayed, and I found a home for her. And my biggest worry was she was used to roaming outdoors, and the first place that she was adopted to was at an apartment building, and I was very worried. Eventually it worked out. She got acclimated to the apartment building, and then the people who adopted her actually moved to a place that's open space, and she actually goes home. She, as you can tell, she looks like she has access to free roaming space, and she's actually a house cat. So she's an indoor and outdoor house cat, and she indoor and outdoor cat, and she actually gained weight, which is part of the great part for um, the spaying, is that they do gain weight because they do not expend energy anymore in getting pregnant, nursing their kittens, etc. Then the last story I've got to share, which is a great story, was Regina. We found her, we fed her regularly, we relocated her. This is one of the parts where, as a rescuer, you just never know if you made the right decision. We relocated her from one place where she got bullied a lot to another place, and ended up getting bullied in that same place. During the whole bullying process, her eyes got scratched. She had to stay at the vet for a period of time. And I wasn't even sure if her eyes were going to get healed. And we took a risk with an adopter, was a first time cat adopter. And, amazingly, Regina just loved her new home. She was the only cat in there. She loved the children. She loved the mom. And they got on famously. And let me say, she's adopted so well, they were able to put a Santa suit on her. I mean, if that's not love, I don't know what it is. So since then, this family's actually adopted 2 more cats. But unfortunately, I just got news as I was preparing this deck. I got news that Regina didn't. She was sick, suddenly died. But that's part of the heartbreaking part of having fostering and having cats adopted. And I feel my heart goes out to the family who's opened their home to her. But at least I know that we found her right home, and she's had the life that protected life that she needed at that time. And so I'm really happy to share that story with Regina. But I do want to close this with my takeaways, right? Definitely, when you're going through this cat rescue process, it is by no means a one person show. It really takes a group of committed individuals. Let me tell you, I have met some really fantastic people on Instagram and Facebook I've never known in my whole life, but I've been able to help them get a cat neutered. I've been able to help them, convince them to get their fosters adopted. And, that's a community and network of people who are selfless. They're not thinking about their personal gain. They're thinking about, how can I find this cat a new home? Another thing is it is a humbling process. We have to understand our limitations as humans, that we cannot play God. Sometimes things are out of our control. A cat doesn't make it. It's not. We did our best. We were placed at the spot to help them for the best that we could. And I trust that God has bigger plans for everyone. And if I cannot save this cat today, maybe there's another cat for me to save tomorrow, right? So those are a few things that I've kind of have to learn. And I know that every pet owner knows about that, especially when you've lost one. And finally, I do have to say, like, a lot of things that come into my mind is, what is our role in the environment, right? There are people who don't like pets and don't like pests, right? They consider cats pests, but at the same time, we have to also acknowledge our role in all this, right? We've taken away their habitat, their land that they live in, right? We've thrown out a lot of trash on the street. That's what cats eat sometimes, right? We have so much waste. That's what allows them to thrive. So what is it that we can do on an individual basis to make the environment a much better place, hospitable for all, not just humans. So those are like the bigger picture thoughts that came into my mind as I'm going undergoing this whole cat rescue bit. So I hope today's session was useful. And finally, I just kind of wanted to share one last bit. You know, Homebound Kittens, for those of you who are interested in adopting cats, feel free to visit our page, send us a message. If you have questions about where to get cats spayed at a low cost, let us know. If you have just general questions, my cat won't eat what I do, and I'll help you. But of course, ultimately, you go to a vet for that. And I wanted to take the time to share Instagram accounts of a few other cat rescuers that I know. They're very devoted, and they do backbreaking work from beginning to end. Um, and a lot of times, I do want to help them. And there are so many other cat rescues out there who, you know, who who do a lot of work, and nobody knows the amount of work that they've done. So, I hope you've enjoyed this. I've spoken quite a bit, so I'm gonna kind of hand it over back to Tita Me and Chi. So you guys let me know any questions.
Wow, that is really awesome. There's a lot of things to consider. I didn't realize that, it's really a lifestyle and a passion. It's like really a commitment, right? It's like a mission, a life mission. I'm not gonna take this time alone. I'm gonna put in, let's bring back on stage a good friend and also another cat rescuer and our dog master. Coach, oh, so we
Yeah.
have some questions, but I do wanna, get feedback from she. Like, we must share the same. Oh, can I just ask the both of you, being rescuers, as I listened to Jeannie and even as I heard you speak before, Chi, I'm listening quietly and I'm wondering, do you guys think of other things? Like, it's so amazing. Like when like Ginny, when you were talking about cats, it's like you really have you really have the passion for them, and you really have the what's the right word for it? The preoccupation. You're really preoccupied. Like, how are you able to? Because I'm sure this is not all you do in a day, right? But how are you able to manage your time and even the amount of emotional investment you give? I just want to go into the heart of a cat rescuer, such as you, Jeannie. Can you be the one to answer that first? How do you, what's your day to day life like in having this really awesome, intense sense of mission and advocacy to save cats, and then but you have to navigate your schedule in a day. So I wanna get into that level of knowing you as a cat rescuer. What how do you do that? How? Share with us your lifestyle.
Especially when I'm fostering, the first thing I do in the morning is actually I feed my cats before I feed myself. I think
Wow.
everyone knows that.
Same with
and
me.
then they're lit- and then they're litter, right? So you got to do their stuff first. Then when they're all settled, they'll leave you alone. Then you can eat in peace because otherwise you will not hear the end of
Mm,
it, right? So you do prioritize
okay.
that, but you do have to kind of be reasonable. Like I feed them twice a day, like morning and evening. You set that schedule, and you got to draw those boundaries. You really do. They will get it. They're
Mhm.
they're scheduled. They're animals with a very strict schedule. They know their schedule better than you. Again, you're 2 minutes
Mhm.
late. They know it. So
What? Really?
yes, they do.
Wow.
They yes, they do.
More
It's very
discipline.
yeah. So basically, you have to be disciplined as a person to know what kind of schedule works for you, and
Mm.
well, and what's not going to eat your energy up. That's one thing. The emotional impact for sure, definitely, it's very high. Especially when we're going to have a cat adopted. I'm always like, did I make the right decision? Is this the right person? Are they going to run away? So one of the things I do, the insurance plan, I know not the best. This is just personal. I make sure they're spayed. I make sure they're vaccinated. If they escape from the home, they will not get impregnated. They will not go out and fight. They will not get sick. And I pray to God that if they escape, there is a kind-hearted person waiting for them who may be a better one, but I can't. But I have had some adopters who, after the cat escapes, they are crying their heart out and they are looking for the cat. So,
Wow, yeah.
there are times with great ones, and there are times when it's just like that was a miss, and you just hope that, again, God is at work here. I have
Yeah.
to trust that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it so much that one of the slides you gave, because actually this is an advocacy, and part of our mission is really to, to recognize that everything we have here on earth is really provided for us to what do you call this, to take care of and to enjoy. And this includes, of course, the pets and animals we have. And I like it so much when you said that this is not a one-man show, and ultimately it's God who really is, who owns everything. I love that when you said that. No? So how about you, Chi? How, can you tell the audience, can you tell us how, I heard you say that you have the same schedule. We'll ask Coach O also about his dogs.
Yeah, basically, Ginny said it all. The stages wherein when you rescue everything. And with regard to the schedule, I really feed them first before I feed myself. Because
Hmm.
there's this house cat of mine, my very first rescue. His name is Nala. He will really scratch the door for you to feed him because that's his feeding time. So it goes the same with the others. And I believe that all rescuers, like Ginny, have their emotions high with regard to the cats we rescue. Because once you foster them, of course, you don't want to have them with you forever. So you have to find them good homes. So I also do the same. I have them spayed or neutered, then have them vaccinated, just in case something comes up or they escape. They're safe. But it really breaks my heart to give them away, especially when you get
Oh.
attached to the kittens. Sometimes I we were able to rescue neonatal kittens, one kittens with umbilical cords attached. So that really demands much of your time. You're really up most of the time in the night because you have to feed them. Really focus on their welfare. Like they have to be under a heating pad and under a warm light, and you make sure that the temperature, the room temperature, is okay. Otherwise, they can catch cold. And most of the time, we have kittens that just passed on, and it's so heartbreaking. That's the sad part. That's it.
Hearing your stories, it's like really taking care of children, no? And eventually it becomes even more difficult because the children, they grow up and then they learn to talk and then they learn to tell you what they want, what they need. But the animals, you just have to really, diba, Coach O, no? Dapat talaga may connection. I think it's the same
Yes.
thing, Coach. Can you tell us,
Yeah.
like, yeah, tell us something about how you connect with the dogs in terms of,
No, no, no.
how
Let's talk about cats here. Okay.
okay.
I have some questions. Okay.
Yes,
So,
please
my
go
question
ahead.
for Jeannie and Chip. I'm really amazed, yung passion nila, they
Oh,
rescue and they keep the cats for as long as they can. The question is, I don't know if Jeannie do you have a family with you, or are you single? Jeannie, you single?
Uh, Very good question. I'm single, yes.
All right, good. Jean is single. Well, I think she has a family. So I think yeah, it's a good question because not every uh, not everyone with a calling to rescue cats may be as efficient as you are. But regardless, this is my question. Okay, of course you have other relationships even if you're single. How how do you go about the balance, for your personal life or finances, this very financially draining, yeah, time with your friends, time with your relatives. So how do you balance all this? I'm gonna ask Ginny Muna and then Chi. Yeah.
Well, that's a very good question. If you because I don't have a family, I don't have to raise a child, think about their education and feeding more mouths in the house. So yes, I will have more budget allocated for the cats. So yes, that is absolutely a reality, right? Secondly, in terms of time, children also take up your time. So I'm able to give them more time. How do I balance it? Now, the other aspect is social life, right? How do you balance your social life with all that? The honest truth is, me and my friend who feeds colony cats, we have like a window of, after 10 o'clock, we got to go feed the cats. So we can't like hang out with our friends. So there is like a
Oh,
little
wow.
curfew. Yes. And then when it comes to like back in the day when COVID wasn't in, when it came to like taking a vacation, it was nerve wracking because we knew that the colony cats, we didn't have a crew we didn't have friends that we work with. It was just us. And we would just be worried, like, oh my goodness, like 1 week away, the cats, what are they gonna do? So yes, that was absolutely that was not easily solvable. So absolutely, it's a hard line to draw. It's very difficult, and I'd say there's not a whole lot of balance. When you're really knee deep in it, there is no balance. And I've heard the same thing from other rescuers. They're like, I cannot even sit down and take a cup of tea if I
Oh
wanted
my
to.
goodness.
Yes, so
Really?
that is real.
Wow.
That is real.
Thanks, Jeannie. All right, what about Chi?
Hi, Coach. I can relate with Ginny, but we have a family, and I think the passion cascaded down to my children. Most of my children are animal lovers, and most of my sons, especially Josh, he's a rescuer like me. There was a time. Can I share my experience?
Please do.
Yeah, just last month we were about to go to San Fernando, Pampanga. So on the way to Pampanga, we saw a kitten in the middle of NLEX. Without a button of an eyelash, I told my son, "Let's exit to the nearest one, and then just ask somebody there kung meron silang karton, a box, so we can house a kitten." So fortunately, we were able to see a vet store, yeah, a vet clinic. So I bought a cage and food. And on our way back, sad to say, we saw another kitten in the middle of NLEX. So the hard part was I was able to ask the patrol somewhere near there, but they discouraged us to rescue. So I went ahead. It's not I will not be deterred by their approval. So amidst all the honking horns, the irate other travelers, we
Yeah.
really slowed down. We parked. The first kitten was so elusive. I really prayed hard, Lord, please help me rescue this, because she was trying to move away from me, but gladly she moved toward the direction in the middle, not cross the road. So I was able to get the kitten. And we made several roundabouts. It cost me a lot in the toll fees, but we were able to rescue them. So that's the very success story that I had recently. And when it comes to time, like what Jeannie said, there's no balance, because when it comes to wanting to go out and have a vacation, your priority is who will feed the cats, who will stay with them. Because like us, we don't have a maid, we don't have a caretaker. So the most that we can do is leave overnight. And then the following day, we can come back. At least they just have not eaten for a day or so. So when it comes to finances, I leave it to God. Praise God, since 2009, I've been rescuing, I've been buying sacks of food, and sometimes my husband comments, but God has never left me empty handed to give all this, even for the vet needs. That's it. Thank you.
We are awestruck and couldn't say anything with the passion we see in you, no? Okay, so maybe what we'd like to do now is just very try to, because we are gonna run out of time, but let's answer a few questions here. Thank you so much, T, for sharing your story. And Coach, oh, any other question? Uh, I actually wanted to hear from you, Coach, because seriously, even if our topic is about cats, Coach,
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask because like they're saying that one of the things, Jeannie, before I move on, I noticed there that is there a like a feeling you get when you rescue an animal, a cat? It's like there's something triggered, or it's just all mental, like, hey, the cat's endangered, or like, because sometimes the
Reflex.
cat may not be cute, right? Or yeah, correct, Coach. It's just a reflex. We know that the cat's in danger, or what? Because surely you cannot catch or rescue all the cats you see on the road, right? But I think my question is to simplify it, whether it's cats or dogs. What is it that makes you identify the the animal that you will rescue? That's my intrigue. What is it? Is it like what they call in
It's a,
Tagalog, Coach, luksong dugo, di ba?
no, I call it a Miss Universe question.
Oh, okay. Let's ask our first Miss Universe contestant.
Contestant
Jeannie, would
number
you?
one, Miss Jeannie. Go ahead, Miss Jeannie.
What makes you? What seriously? What makes you decide? Like, what makes you choose to rescue this? What is it?
Ah,
Emotion or situation, or it's just your mood? What is it?
um,
Getting
I
into the
can't.
mind of
I
a rescuer.
hmm, I think I haven't done the street side rescue the way she has done. That one
Yeah.
I've had friends and I've actually had people contact me like, how do I do this? What kind of tools I need,
Oh,
etc.
okay.
That's pretty intense, but at the end, what you are greeted with is relief that hey,
Mm,
this kitten is not endangered. Like being stuck in the
mm,
median of a road, that's danger. Okay, no matter
right.
human or animal, that's it. So I guess um, relief that I was able to better their situation. That's one.
Mm-hmm.
And the hope that that I can make their lives a little better. I think that is that relief. For me, is the relief.
It's really
Because
okay.
if you see them and then you don't do anything, you get worried like, oh my goodness, are they going to get run over? What's going to happen to them? What if they're not
Yeah,
there
you
tomorrow?
can
There's
sleep.
all that anxiety. Yes,
You can
it's
sleep
a
at night.
relief.
That
Yes,
is
yes,
really
absolutely.
wow.
It's
Amazing.
on your mind.
Wow. Yeah. How about you, Chi? Oh, I never got to ask you that question. I'm just really wanting to get into the mind of a cat rescuer. What makes you decide? Like, I will rescue this. It's like I will marry this person.
First and
I
foremost,
don't know. Which, oh,
it's my
I'm just so
passion.
intrigued. Your passion.
Yeah, and
Makes you
my
decide. What
advocacy.
makes you
And I
decide
agree.
to,
I
yeah.
agree with Jeannie. It's the relief. Um, I'm more anxious if I leave the animal behind.
Mm-hmm.
It would give me the creeps if somebody toyed over it or played with it, or got run over. That's my first instinct is to get it. I would
Mm,
really get it.
okay.
I will not
So
leave
you're
it behind.
more, you're actually moved when you see the situation of the cat.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
what that's your that's what makes you tick. That's what moves you. That's your trigger. No?
Yeah.
Like
I,
when you
I
see
I
the
have to assess the situation first.
situation.
If the cat is
Okay.
really in danger, I would really get it. But if
Yeah.
I can just feed it, and then I know it
Go.
can
Leave it.
by
Survival.
itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Especially if
I
it's
think
sick.
that's yeah. I think that's what differentiates you guys, who really go a step beyond it. That's what differentiates you from those that normally just pick up their cats because I'm cute, diba? Usually it's like that. They're like, oh, cute, and then you pick it up, and then after a while, "Naku, what am I gonna do?" So that's really that's what differentiates you, you take it a step further. So let's just answer maybe two questions. Like there's a question here. Actually, what should I avoid? Let me show this. Yeah, let me show that. Yeah, what should I avoid in deciding to adopt? Like, give advice to people that are thinking to adopt, because I suppose that there are people now who are encouraged to adopt. Right now, I'm imagining that there are people who are thinking first, hey, before I pick up this cat, I have to know this. As Jeannie explained, I have to think of this, and that. So to those that are now falling in love more with animals and thinking, like, inspired by your stories, that when I see a cat, I'll do this, an endangered cat. So, but what are the things that they should avoid? Like, is this a question that is worth answering?
I guess I can take that quickly.
Yes, please.
Um, I think one thing you have to think about is when you adopt a cat, how does your family feel? Do you live with people?
Oh,
Are they going to be okay with it? Are they going to say, "Hey, that's a bad decision. You got," then you're in
yeah.
trouble. Secondly, I think how stable are you financially, right? That's also something you have to
Mm,
consider.
yeah.
Just be aware, like you don't have to give cats like the most expensive food. You can always find uh, actually nutritious food that's not a cat food. You can actually just boil chicken, and that's good enough for them. You don't have to overfeed them. You don't have to get the best of the best. So I always tell
Mhm.
them that. Secondly, thirdly, um, when it comes to finances and buying things for them, don't feel compelled to buy toys for them. You can improvise
Oh.
these things.
Mhm.
They'll knock themselves out over a paper ball of paper.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to go crazy over these kind of things. So you have to be aware of how to spend your money wisely because ultimately they will need vet help. And are you going to be ready to provide for that? And that thing picks up real quick. Once you can find them, good God. So you just got to be
Okay.
ready for that. You have to be can you take care of yourself? And are you able to take care of another creature of God? So those are responsibilities. But as I tell them that because people do ask me when I do ask people lots of questions before they adopt. I always ask, are you ready to do that? Is that a commitment you're ready to take on? It's a hard question to answer. Nobody really knows until the day you have to take them to the vet and spend a lot of money. But
Wow.
some of them are able. Some of them go to the vet every day after they get confined. But some they cannot do that. Not even the vet they can take. And it's not even financial. It's something else. So sometimes I say, can financial is important, but do you have the heart to do it? That's also the second part. That's it.
Yeah.
Tita,
It's
may I have a
really,
question?
yes, please.
Okay, not a Miss Universe question, don't worry.
Mr.
Okay,
Universe question.
but it's a financial question actually. No, no, okay. Uh, do you ever are you considering working with other, larger groups, established rescue organizations? If not, why do you decide to just work on, in a very low profile, yeah, approach? You see, we have some large organizations now. So I'm just curious, really. I don't have any ideas why some people would rather, operate their own rescue operation, and while others they just volunteer and work with these organizations. So what's your take on that, Jeannie? And then I'd like also to hear from Chi. Yung
Um,
tapang ano, sungit. Okay, go ahead, Chi.
Go Chi, go.
Me first.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyone can start. Okay. What's your
Well, I think I'm a one woman guy, but I also help. Kasi minsan kasi when you're involved with an organization, you still have to ask permission if you can rescue this. Then you'll wait for them. Unlike when you're doing it alone, you can decide. And, I'm committed. I'm really committed. So I don't need to burden anyone unless I need a professional handler to get a cat or a dog, especially injured ones. That's the time I call for help. And but I'll be gladly working with others naman.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to adoption, because minsan that's the most difficult portion, because some gets overstayed. Yeah.
All right, thanks,
Okay.
Chi. What about you, Jeannie?
Well, when I first, probably one of my first major rescue, I actually reached out to an organization. They're called Cara, and they were really good at providing me supplies
Okay, Nancy.
because I had
Yeah.
none. I had none. And
She's
but they do have a cat shelter, but they at least 3 years ago when I inquired, it was full, and it was tough. They are also having a tough time getting cats adopted. The other one was Paws, and I know that they also do low cost neutering, spay neutering, which is great. But at the same time, like she said, they have their organizational priorities. How we slot into it and how it competes is tough, right? And in terms of
yes.
fostering, they offer facilities to house a cat. But again, if the shelter is overflowing with cats, they get sick. There's an outbreak. Then they're you end up putting sick kittens in a shelter, and you just lowered their chances of survival dramatically. So
Wow.
as so you can volunteer on a voluntary basis, like she said, great to volunteer. But if it comes to your local neighborhood or your area of, your community circle, it's hard to expect them to prioritize your area because they have a
Yeah.
larger goal.
Well,
But absolutely, they're great resources. I know that Carib was able to help me, and I know that
yeah.
they're able to help. And even another place that I go to is Philippine Pet Birth Control Center. They give free
PPBB.
cheap spay, neuter, and they do what they can.
Mhm.
And so, as an individual rescuer, you just need to know where to go for what you need, and
Mhm.
then do your share.
Yeah.
So, hope that helps.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Jeannie. Tita Me, it's a very important question. If our objective is to encourage more people to do their rescue, see, because they don't know how things operate. But in the context of our culture, maybe some people would really like cheat, would rather do it in a smaller scale, low profile than to work with bigger organizations because medyo mas makakapagtrabaho ka eh. Okay, plus okay, oh, not to mention anything, but this some or these bigger organizations have their own politics, they're bumping each other. So stay, as believers, we would rather, move quietly, work quietly. Yeah. So it's important to know because to hear from you guys without being really, connected to these larger organizations, and yet you're able to continue to sustain your operations. And of course, having any chicken needs all God's provision. Ayan. So, and I thank you. Back to you, Tita Me.
Okay. We have we'll just answer. Please oblige us with one last question. Does the cat breed wait, let me show that again. There you go. Does the cat breed matter in terms of behavior and matching to owners? Is there such a thing? I am trying to imagine if the cat breeds or the breeds have personalities. So who would like to answer that? Or maybe you both can answer that. Yeah. Jeannie, would you like to?
Okay, sure. I get that question a lot because I post it on different groups and they go, may lahi ba yung pusa? Right? And I just go, like, why does it matter? Come on. Right? And my answer to them is, when you take a cat with breed, you better be ready because they have some special peculiarities. I say, the stray cats on the
Oh,
street, they're a hardy bunch. They're not
uh-huh.
that easy to take down. So
Okay.
I usually say I suggest you start with a cat, that's healthy. It doesn't matter what breed, but
Yeah.
ultimately, if you go down the Melahi route, you be ready to spend more money at the vet and the food and the whatever else. You
Oh,
be ready for that.
oh,
And they have some really kind of, and then yeah. So I do try to kind of just say I don't have any, and I think it's just a matter of how their personalities are. If they get along with you, that's great. If they don't, hey, I can take them back any day, right? But you got to be committed that you're going to try to get along with the cat that you take. And it has nothing to do with lahi at all.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on that controversial
Okay.
may lahi question.
So you've actually taken back some kittens or cats that were adopted from you, really? Wow. Okay, so you really monitor them, right? After you give them away, you actually monitor them.
Some of them discover that they can't handle it. Some of them have, mom has an allergy no one ever knew. So there's no point in keeping them in a hostile place. So I take them
Mm-hmm.
back. And some of them have neighbors that say, "Hey, your cat's too noisy," or "You're not supposed to have pets around." And I take them back because if I don't take them back, they're gonna go end up in the street. So I might as well just take them back.
Okay, thank you. Is there something else that you would like to share, Chi? And because if not, we are so happy with everything we learned. But I'd like to hear, Chi, if there's something you want to add to what Jeannie
Yeah,
said.
as a rescuer, I'm not concerned about the breed because I've had breeded cats that I did not purchase. They just handed it over to me. I have a
Okay, really.
Siamese, I have a Himalayan, I have a Persian. I have given away Persian cats, Siamese cats, but first and foremost, number one is I have them fixed at my expense. And Jeannie's right in saying that if you have a breeded cat, be ready for the expenses. Unlike
Okay.
those that you get from the streets, they're resilient. They're when you once you um, give them TLC, tender love and care, they you produce a very beautiful, handsome cat that they look like they have breeds. So I've had several, but the goal in fostering, adopting, and rescuing is they don't stay with you because you end
Okay.
up having them. Like now, I have 35 cats again because of the three kittens added to me. Um, After
Wow,
their
35? See?
yeah, yeah, 35. I was down with 30, but with the NLEX cats that I got and the recent one we got at the entrance of our gate, so nadagdagan na naman.
How about you,
So yeah,
Sorry,
it's
Chi.
okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I just got curious when you said 35 cats. Like, Jeannie, how many cats do you keep for yourself?
I
For yourself
have 6. I really try my best. It's a tough one, but I definitely try my best.
to give them away. Is that right?
But 30 is a normal number, okay? There are 60, there's
Oh,
100.
Yeah,
what?
30 is a low
yeah.
number. 30 is a
I have
very
a
low
friend.
number.
I have a friend who has a shelter now. It reached 100 already.
Wow, it's really something, no? You can't have 100 dogs in your house, no, Coach O?
No.
If you're talking about dogs, you really have to have all the space for that. So we thank you so much, Coach. If there's nothing else, we have to let our guests go because we promised them to be around for only half hour, but our topic was so engaging, and I really personally learned a lot. So no more
Yeah.
questions, Coach. Yeah. Okay.
I have a
So.
lot of questions, but maybe we can have them again in the next in our future
Yes,
episodes.
sige, let's
Yeah.
it's very ano no, very interesting. So and the winner is
It's a tie.
Miss Universe, Miss
Say
Universe President.
hi.
Oh, there's a cat.
Who's this little
Okay.
one?
Yeah,
This
Tita
is
Me.
Abby, the favorite rescue of Joshua
All
because he was
right.
rescued with so much maggots and an umbilical
Ah,
cord attached with two more
wow.
siblings who passed on. He's a survivor. Say hi,
Wow.
Abby. It's
All
a very
right.
clean
Talaga,
cat.
no?
Sige.
Very clean. So this is really a different world that not too many people are aware of the passions that our guests have, and it's just so refreshing and encouraging and inspiring to hear your stories, for us to be made aware that, it's like you're in a different dimension, diba? Like people are so people now are nothing but cell phones and computer and games, and here you are, really uh breath of fresh air, being in touch with nature, with animals, and we're so happy to have you. So, all right, thank you so much, G, and thank you, Jeannie. Coach, I'd like to hear you say something in
Yeah,
relation to,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
take
Because
it away, Coach. Yeah.
okay, because it's different. Today is different. I'm going to share something with you guys. It's a video I have already uploaded. Paano ba to? I-on ko lang. I just share it.
Yes. Wait.
Uh,
Please share it. You click the share button. It's
it's
this the
already,
one, the
yes,
window one with
done.
the dog. Okay,
Yes,
I'm going to share it for you right now. Okay, let's enjoy this.
that's my message for today, everyone.
Perfect.
That's our rescue puppy here. All right, so it's
Wow.
about forgiveness, Tita Me.
Okay, yeah. So, ang ganda naman nun. Coach, did you do that? With those,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's our
Oh,
yeah, it's our rescue.
your pets, no? I thought they were talents that you hired also.
No, no,
Coach,
they're natural, yeah,
natural
natural talents.
situations, no? In natural situation in your house, no? That's really so. Coach,
Mm,
maybe this is all that we can discuss for the time
mm.
being, and we are just very thankful for our guests, of course, Jeannie, who prefers to just be called Jeannie, and our friend Chi Medalla. This is Tita Me saying goodbye and thank you. And please subscribe to our channel and follow us on Facebook. And Coach O, you tell them to come back.
Come back and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Okay, just hang on for a bit and we'll be out of here now. Goodbye.